Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, the Education Department is among those departments which will take the center stage when Finance Minister Enoch Godongwane delivers his 2023 budget speech later today. But also, it's not just basic education, it's also higher education, and students say they continue to struggle with funding and oftentimes they go hungry. eNCA reporter Lethiwe Mdluli is at the Durban University of Technology talking to students. She joins us now live to tell us what they're expecting today. Lethiwe, of course, we've seen a lot of students, including our colleague Lethiwe Mdluli, who's at UKZN, people complaining about NSFAS, not having registration funds, etc. What are the students where you are telling you they expect to hear today?
Well, Masako, I've been talking to a lot of students this morning, and they are saying that they need government to focus more on funding, especially in NSFAS. They are saying that they are receiving payments late, and unfortunately a lot of them have parents who do not work, so that means that they rely on this funding. And in terms of the students striking, most of those strikes are brought on by the fact that they haven't received any confirmation of spaces from these universities, and also, like I said, the funding problem is persisting. But I'm now joined by the registrar here, I want to bring in institutions and speak to them about funds and the monies that they require from parents, and also the government to help them out as well, because they need this funding as well. I'm now joined by Dr. Ngonwane. I want to bring him in. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us at eNCA. Of course, we are speaking to students and parents about what they're expecting from the budget speech ahead of it this afternoon. But take me through how much universities have to deal with. Are parents able to keep up with the payments, and are they able to then pay for their children who come to these institutions?
Well, in these tough economic circumstances that we're all going through, not only in South Africa but worldwide, parents are not able to keep up with the payments for university tuition currently, and even those that are working are also not able to afford university fees, because education has become a bit expensive now of late compared to when some of us were at university many years ago. However, a university such as ours is classified as a historically disadvantaged institution, where now you have more than 80% of your student population reliant mainly on government funding through a National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS. However, NSFAS also has its own limitations given the volume of students that come from disadvantaged backgrounds that need to benefit from the big cake, which is now becoming smaller and smaller. NSFAS currently funds only undergraduate studies, and we have a number of our students at a University of Technology who undergraduates would mean a 3-year diploma. But to increase their chances for employability once they exit the university, students would want to pursue higher studies like your 4th year known as advanced diploma. But unfortunately, at the present moment, in terms of the guidelines released by NSFAS, NSFAS is not funding this cohort of students. And these now have to go all around and get just a bare minimum to have one foot on the door with a registration fee, but also incurring debt. And when they start working, they need to come back and service the debt in order now to get their full certificates and so on. Yeah. So these are some of the challenges we are facing with regards to government funding. But then you also have one cohort referred to as the missing middle, who are not funded by NSFAS because they are deemed to afford. Though we know in real terms, parents have other obligations to raise their families and do not afford. And in the last 2 years, we've been engaging with DHET and NSFAS, and the ministry has committed now to source other forms of funding so that this cohort can also be have access to funding in the form of loans and so on. And we are eagerly awaiting a report from the ministry around June.
And like you said, 80% of your students rely on funding. This afternoon, we're going to be hearing from the minister. He's going to be giving us his budget speech. What is the education sector expecting from the minister, especially institutions of higher education?
What we are expecting is at least an increase in the allocation to education through NSFAS, to enable NSFAS also to timeously transfer funds to universities and actually assure universities of stability, because at the present moment, because of administrative challenges that NSFAS is also undergoing as an entity in terms of timeously honoring their obligations, we have classified the whole funding issue as a key student protest driver at our campuses, because year in, year out, at this time of the year, you have protests around our campuses. Despite all our efforts to ensure peaceful starts at our campuses, we are disabled by matters solely related to NSFAS, which then becomes a matter beyond our control as an institution or as institutions.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
So, Masego, that is basically what institutions are expecting from the finance minister this afternoon, basically saying that they need more allocation so that they can be able to fund the students. Like Dr. Ngona has said, 80% of students here at the UT rely on this funding. And unfortunately, if they do not receive it, they will not be able to pursue a higher education.